Okay. Welcome to a very special edition of I Need Space. I'm Neil LaPierre. You're here at Videofag. Today is adults only, and that's because we're going over my collection of erotica written by women. All right, let's take a look at what I have. First up, we have Little Birds by Anais Nin. This is a really great book. The title story is about this guy who collects exotic birds. My favorite thing about this book is that it's called Little Birds, and it has a story also called Little Birds. And I worked in a pet store and I sold birds, so I really relate to this book, and it's one of my favorites. It's also like, I like books that are like objects, so this isn't just a book titled Little Birds, but it's also one that you can like turn into it's not like a particularly small bird, but some birds are like fairly large, so by comparison, like if you imagine this as a bird, it's quite little. All right, moving on, we have Twilight fan fiction erotica. The most famous being 50 Shades of Grey by E.L. James. It was written on a BlackBerry, and what I absolutely love about this book is that it was a very sexy movie. Beautiful Bastard is the second most popular Twilight fan fiction erotica. It's written by a very special woman. Her name is Christina Lauren. The reason why she's so different and so unique compared to other women is that she's actually two women, Christina and Lauren. And I think it's kind of fun that their pseudonym is their name. Now this is the Penguin Book of Erotic Stories by Women. My absolute favorite thing about this book is the size of it. I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I'm actually quite large. Like, I'm adult size. So when I look for a book, I look for, like an adult size book. And this one in particular is, it's a nice size book. That's exactly what I'm looking for. The only downfall with a book of this size is it takes longer to read. So this is the only one I haven't bothered reading, but I imagine it's quite interesting. Also, we have The Claiming of Beauty. It's written by Anne Rice. It's not as famous as Anne Rice's other less erotic stories that were turned into Hollywood movies. But it also, like Little Birds, you can do this, and it's a little bit of a weightier bird. It also makes me question Anne Rice if she understands like the intricacies of relationships, and because you think of something like the story of O, and it's so like complicated and upsetting, and it's so like hard hitting. Like the one-way relationship and the possessiveness and being treated like property. And Anne Rice, with this retelling of Sleeping Beauty is like I don't think she quite gets it. So I think that, sometimes we have to learn from life experiences and that sort of thing, how to represent a real relationship and that sort of thing. So that's why my advice to Anne Rice would be to put down her pen and pick up these wonderful copies of Twilight fan fiction. They're sexy, they're fun, and I use them every day to understand how to relate to other people, and I think that they're a real great experience. And I never mentioned this before, but Beautiful Bastard, even though it's cut off, you notice when you look at it, it's like a guy's face. And it's not just birds you can turn books into. If you have enough imagination, you can take your books and set up a scenario or something, like they can be a toy. And so I like to take this one and pretend that it's the girl on a date. And then Beautiful Bastard is the boy on a date. And like, he's like talking about stuff, like, you know, she's not really that interested in it, but she like wants to kiss him, but like he's just like still talking about it, not really taking a hint. And then like maybe she'll like go in, but like he'll still, like guys talk about stuff and sometimes girls like aren't interested. Like he's still doing that. But then like maybe like then they can get together and they're just like because they can like face each other and just It's like not that interesting, right? I mean, it's just like these two people kissing. Like I'm so sick of it. Like everything in these books. You know what's in these books? It. People doing it. Every single one of these. Like you pick this book and all that happens in it is it. And it's like you read these books and well like actually this is a really wonderful book. Like you guys should actually read it. Like it's like pretty interesting. But I mean the rest of these are just like it. And it's like I'm so sick of it. And it's like I want to be like mature and I want to read mature content. You know, I'm not some 21-year-old baby that's standing around talking about Tom Robbins and how romantic Tom Robbins is and how magical that Tom Robbins book was and how supernatural was really interesting and it's like borderline absurdist, but it's like a metaphor and that's poetic and like I'm sick of it. And it's like, so what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to like, you know, like be reading Tom Robbins for the rest of my life? Or can I move on to something else? And that's when I went up to this guy to... So I went... Okay. So like, it's like before when I was on it, it was like, like, it was like I was just distributing my weight more evenly. Sit, okay. Okay, so I think like okay. No, it's like you realize your core like isn't as strong as you thought. Like in these kinds of okay. So oh my God. Oh, I just don't want to, can somebody just hand me that, please? So, like, you know, like, look up to God, like, what's the answer? And it's like, create! So that's what I did. And so I wrote this story. And do you guys want to hear like the voices or? Yeah. Like, yeah? Okay. So this is called The Boss by LaPierre. She must have had a heart. It felt like she took pity on young men who wanted to be freelance illustrators, but were failing. Why else would four of us be here
at this shitty job. But hey, a job's a job. Am I right?
So like I just want to like set up this scene and stuff, and it's like, okay, so this guy, you know, he's a freelance illustrator and he's working at this place, and you know, like you read like the old, especially like the gay erotica from maybe the 80s or something, and a lot, or in 90s too, and it's like, you know, like, hey, like whatever, like it's it, like doesn't matter to me, it doesn't, guy, girl. It's just about it. So like that, you know, that's what I'm trying to set this up as. But it's like, but it's not gonna come down to it. It's no it.
We all thought working in the warehouse would be temporary. In reality, at least for me, I'd be there forever. Every time I thought about leaving, I get a little raise, maybe like 15 cents an hour. Doesn't sound like much, but it accumulates over time, especially when it keeps on getting higher and higher. And it's only 27 hours a week, so it gives me a chance to follow my true passion, which is freelance illustration. Pretty good friends with one of my coworkers. But he still lives at his parents' house, if it can even be called a house. It's a unit in a townhouse complex, and it's on a basement, but it's not even a basement because the place is on a hill, so it's like you can like walk out and you're at the bottom of the hill because like the house starts here and it goes down. But we lived in that basement. Well, even though I don't live with my parents, my place always feels pretty crowded. I have 2 roommates. They're always home. Never leave. They're a lot better friends with each other than I am with either of them. So like, I like to spend a lot of time at my coworker's house, often crashing on his couch. I don't know if it's weird for adult men to have sleepovers. Maybe only because I think of them as sleepovers. We spent a lot of time trying to figure out why my boss would hire so many freelance illustrators, trying to pinpoint exactly what it was. Our theories were all bland and improbable, but we settled with this one.
She once was in love with an artist. He was a painter. He loved her very much, and he wanted to share what he admired the most about her, her beauty. He created maybe 5 different paintings of her, but he could never be satisfied with them, nor could she. Just wasn't able to capture her grace, her beauty. She was devastated. She left him hurt, thinking that she would never be able to fall in love again. After years of therapy, she was able to come to the conclusion that, yes, she was beautiful. But she needed someone else to draw her, a true artist, someone who draws for the love of drawing, a draftsman. She decided she would find an illustrator, not some bullshit artist with his bullshit artistic intentions, but a freelance illustrator who would work with her in the warehouse. He could gain her trust over time, and she would let him do the one thing she never thought she could, share her beauty with the world.
When my coworker and I came to this conclusion, we realized both of us wanted to be the one to draw her. So we agreed if it ever came down to it, we'd both draw her. But for the time, however, we'd have to improve our figure drawing. One of us would have to model for the other. I started wearing my bathing suit under my jeans. When I get there, it's stripped down, just my bathing suit, imitating my boss. My coworker would vigorously draw, and I'd ask him, when do I get to draw you?
Draw me? You don't need to draw me. Your drawing skills are incredible. I'm the only one that needs practice here.
I asked him if I could see the drawings, and he said he just wasn't confident enough in sharing them with me yet. I'd sit in the chair, cross my right leg over my left, and pretend to be talking on the phone. Peeling Post-its off the post-it pad and put them in the trash every time. I thought of how I would move my head around if I had shoulder-length hair. And I kind of envisioned myself as my boss. This went on for weeks. I was silent each time I did it, but I started taking note of how she would walk at work or talk at work. I started noticing how she'd get so annoyed at some coworkers' missteps, how she'd be so proud of the slightest accomplishments. I was trying to figure out exactly what it was. It's very hard to tell. Sometimes she'd show up, she'd be wearing normal shoes. Other times she'd show up, she'd be wearing steel-toed shoes. But there was one thing that was always consistent. It was her pants. She had a pair of these black pants that really flared at the bottom, a really baggy throughout. I think it was because she was probably just not confident in her body and not confident in her legs. I don't know if she had maybe just one pair or she had 5 pairs, but it was they all pretty much looked the same. Well, I went to the store and I found a pair just like them. And I thought, hey, why not? So I picked them up and I go over to my coworker's house. Still, I still pose shirtless. It's little masters, right? They used to draw from the naked form and then add on later. So my coworker would have to do that, except for my upper physique. One day when I went over to his house, to the basement sliding door exit area, I noticed that the couch was gone I usually sleep in. And I just let it go. I didn't think it was a big deal at the time. He came up to me and he handed me a box of supplies he'd taken from work. He asked me to pose with each one of them. Well, I was okay. But he just didn't seem satisfied in, what I was doing or anything like that. And I knew something was up. So I asked him, what's wrong and what's with the couch? He told me, well, my little sister moved into her new place today. I told her to take it while she still has access to the pickup truck. He seemed upset. I was expecting him to forget about drawing me. Just talk to me about how he's got nothing going on in his life, how he's the last of 3 siblings to leave the house, and how he's stuck at this dead-end job, and how the only thing good in his life is his friendship with me and a shared fantasy, and it's the only thing that keeps him going. But no. He just wanted to draw me. He started heckling my poses, telling me that they were, not very good. And then I had to stop him. So he offered me dinner. That was the last dinner I assumed that his little sister would have at home. Look, do you want to stay over? He asked quietly. I don't know where to sleep. The couch gone. Just sleep in my bed. We'll do it head to toe. And look, I know you like to sleep in your boxers, but keep your pants on. That's something we both could agree on. he went to bed, and we slept head to toe. But I woke up and he was weeping. When he saw I was awake, he tugged at the bottom of my pants and said, "I hate these pants!" He sat up and walked over to the desk and grabbed a stack of photocopy paper.
You know, I think you're ugly. Even for a man, I think you're ugly. You're bloated and have bad features. You have bloated features and bad skin. You look nothing like her.
Stunned, I replied, I'm not supposed to actually be her. I'm only supposed to help you practice so we can get better at drawing and accurately portray her beauty.
He threw the stack down.
Sorry. He threw the stack of drawings down. I hadn't seen them before. I looked at myself, shirtless, in women's pants, trying to pose flirty and authoritative, but failing at both. My love handles hanging over my pants, too tight at the waist, dumb expressions on my face. In every drawing, he was right. I was ugly. His draftsmanship had improved. He captured me exactly as I am. Ugly! I'd almost forgotten he was in the room. I'd almost forgotten he had insulted me so much. The only thing speaking to me were these drawings, telling me I was ugly. An ugly figure on every page. Not an elegant figure, just an ugly figure. I was going through the drawings, amazed at how ridiculous I looked, how insulting I must have been to the woman I love, until he grabbed the drawings back.
What we've been doing is sick, he said, looking down. It's sick, and if she knew what we were doing, we be canned. I don't know what you've been getting out of this, but you disgust me. I love her. I love her so much that I let my stupid, ugly friend pretend to be her. I never want to see you be her again.
I was in shock. I couldn't think of anything to say. So I just said, sorry. I could change out of these pants. He sighed.
You don't have to. Just leave them on.
He climbed back to bed, fell asleep, and dreamed of the woman we both love.
Guys, I read this to a guy in a bar like a couple months ago, and he was like, that was beautiful. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I think for me, it's really important to create stuff that like doesn't have like it in it, and I think it's where like this fascination with erotica and my obsession of taking like sex things and making them like not so sexual anymore. So that's why like after this, I don't know if you all know, but I'm doing a workshop of how to take out things that are sexually overt stuff in erotica. So there's a fill in the blanks, and then maybe we'll write our own stories. You don't have to stay for that. But we're gonna have a reception right now. You can grab a beer or have a cigarette or go home or whatever. Tomorrow I'm doing something about shoes and dating, and it's like completely different. So come tomorrow too. And, yeah.